Any adjustments to the agenda? No. All right, so new business, first item. It's the Kevin Harper Show tonight. His first act is permit number 21-408 Bristol Works LLC, 62 Pine Street, parcel 205151, requesting final approval for a 2-lot planned unit development per the Bristol Unified Development Regulations, Article 4, Section 609. So we've spent a bit of time on this in previous meetings. So this is the Mountain Health part of it, right, Kevin? Or is
Yes.
All right.
Building 4 in the center there.
So building 4 in the center is getting carved off as a.
So use the other map because it's the color one that matches this. That's the next one.
So Mountain Health is getting carved off as its own lot, and
It's not colored. So it's going to be this lot here in the center.
Right.
So,
And then, so it's going to share, take us through what it's going to share with the other PUD users. Is it lot 1, parking lot 1, or is it?
So would you like me to?
Yes, please.
Just summarize it so Peggy's got it.
Right, so if you're looking at, if this is we're gonna have 2 owners here that are gonna share. The building 4 would be Five Town Health Alliance or Mountain Health with that red polka dot area with the leach field, septic tank behind on the south side, and then a small amount of space around the building up to the common area sidewalks. All that those blue polka dots around that lot, as Chris is showing, are part of a common area for anyone on campus to use to get from here to there. It also, from a technical perspective, keeps the entire property as one contiguous piece of property, benefiting the development from were we to want to put some housing on it, that, we get the benefit of all of that footprint of those lots together.
Basically keeps everything
Keeps in one piece.
integrated, yeah.
And so you have to allow for some common areas. So the building unit 4, we've identified acreage for the building and the lot around it, any dirt around it. So that when we put the association together, we know how to allocate the common expenses, the shared expenses like the parking lots or the sidewalks for snow plowing or maintenance, lawn mowing, that sort of thing.
So the new lot for Mountain Health is 0.635 acres.
Is that what it
right?
says, Chris?
Yes.
0.6?
It's hard to read with the hash.
Right.
635, okay.
And then the building 4 people will share that parking 1 area, the LC, limited common element, with the folks in building 3. That last building, the Vermont Farm Table building.
All right, so that lot's a limited common element because it's just those
Just
two.
those 2.
Okay.
The lot across the street, parking lot 2, would be shared by not just those 2, but the other buildings 1 and 2.
That's lot 2 we're calling across Pine Street?
Yep,
All right.
parking 2.
So lot 2 is building 4.
I wouldn't
building-
call it lot 2. I would call it parking lot 2 because there is a
Parking lot 2.
lot 2. It's
Okay, thanks.
yeah.
So
yeah.
that's building 4. And who are the other 2?
Buildings 1, 2, and 3 would share that lot across the street. It's the parking for all of the employees for that building.
So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 use that lot as a limited common element.
Right. Whereas the lot 1 is right in front of Mountain Health, and that's primarily for their clients.
Right.
They
Got it.
need that
Yep.
space.
Okay.
And it's easy access and handicap accessible, et cetera. The common area, just to sort of finish out the story, the blue polka dot to the west of building 4, CE1, is lawn and open area, beautifully treed and park, picnic tables. What anyone on campus can use that for their own purposes. It also contains the transformers for the power that feeds the entire campus. There's a little shed in there. There's sidewalks that share access to and fro. The limited common area parking number 3 to the far west would be shared between building 1 and building 6, but primarily the building 6 inhabitants. That's right now the supervisory union and the police department.
Okay.
So what I'm imagining is that I wanted to do this once up front so that when the time comes and one or another building sells, there's already a plot plan, there's already an understanding by way of the association what everyone's shared responsibilities are. We have put numbers to it in terms of estimates of snow plowing and lawn mowing and such, historically speaking. And then once a year, we'll reconcile the actual costs that everyone will share. So again, the shorthand here is that each of those buildings, I imagine 3 owners, the building 4, building 6, and the 1, 2, and 3 is all connected for all intents and purposes. That really wants to be a purchase. It's a manufacturing building with an office building attached. It's built for that. And so the hope is that would sell as one with all the red dots around it, the loading dock behind there on Pine Street, the shared green parking lot to the south, parking lot 3, and then building 6 the same way. I know at one point supervisory union was contemplating it. That would be a perfect use, or an office building or something of that sort. So everyone's got parking. They've got access, they've got common areas they can use, and you can move comfortably from Pine Street to, right there, down the sidewalk, around the perimeter of the campus and out to Munsell Avenue. It's lawn. It's not that it's a sidewalk. It's not that it's promoted as a common walking space, but people use it all the time.
Yeah,
And Mountain Health and Bristol Work both feel we want to welcome people to cross campus.
So south
Yep.
of the
So can you
colored,
lift it up here?
is that a standalone lot right
Yeah, let's
now?
just go ahead. So that is connected. We drew a somewhat arbitrary line right there as a way to define if we kept the access what it is there from Munsell, so that anything that goes on in there to the south, which as you can see, it's a good solid acre, it's wide open, it's clear, and it's surrounded by homes. Why not you think of that as a residential development? It's really in so many ways perfect for it.
But is it a standalone lot right now?
No, it's part of
You
this.
would have to subdivide it.
Yep, we're just showing it to tell a story, really, and to put some numbers to it. Also, I would argue at this point that there's no likelihood that the users of said future development on that 1 acre would ever have anything to do with the association. There's no shared anything, so why complicate things?
Yeah, you could just subdivide it like you're doing
Right.
with lot 2
Right.
to the east.
I suppose it could also be left in the PUD. Am I right, Chris? That for the purposes of the benefits of the PUD, whether it's setbacks or its density, and develop it as in the PUD framework as a residential component. It is a mixed use zone.
Right, so right now we've got a new lot for Mountain Health.
Yep.
And then we've got some common areas and limited common areas, but the rest is all one lot,
Right.
Correct.
including that
And
That lot
that
to the
one
the
and
area to the south.
future
And this
development.
one in the north.
Yeah.
That's a little
I
over half
never
an acre.
noticed that one before.
Yeah, that's right on the corner. of
Yeah, no, I
Maple.
know.
Yeah,
I
and it's
see it
it's
now.
a great lot.
No, I see it now and I think.
So
yeah.
Chris has estimated something on order of 7 residential units would fit between those 2 spaces. And I do have our architect trying to imagine sort of what would fit with the surrounding housing, what would sort of feel like it belongs there at the end of the day. And if there were 7 of them, we've got those little cottages we did from Stony Hill We've got a duplex and we've got a row house concept. So I'd like to use those plans. We didn't get to use them in the full sense. Evernorth has changed some. So I'd like to come back at some point with a proposal for some residential units in those two lots.
So Kevin, are you thinking of like, say, 3 houses on that one and 4 down here?
That'd be
Or vice-
perfect. That'd be sort of a no-brainer, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, it's not as easy as it looks. There's streetscapes there. There's on Maple Street, there's a lot of much bigger homes. You get over on the Munsell and their worker homes for when that was a factory, Drake and Smith, and I think some
The box shop.
the box shop before them. And so those are smaller homes, and it's hard to imagine. It's going to have an impact visually, and I'd like it to feel like it belongs there. So there's some work involved in that.
For a later date.
Yes, but I thought it would be helpful to frame the whole.
Right.
And then the last piece is the lot 2 that you see there, the 0.289 acres.
To the right.
Yeah,
Please, yeah.
is what we'll talk about after this
That's the
meeting.
next item on the
That
agenda.
would be subdivided out for a building lot, quite apart from the PUD.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions from the board regarding the PUD proposal? Keeping in mind that the northeast corner that's unshaded and the south portion unshaded are all part of the retained land. We're carving off just the area around building 4. John has a question. Go, John.
Yeah, just to clarify, so, excuse me, the building that's building 1, 2, 3 is one unit in this PUD, building 4 is another second unit, and building 6 is a third unit?
No.
Now,
Or is it just 2 units? It's 4 by itself and 6 and 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Yeah, it's unit building 4 and its surrounding dirt and is 1, and then everything else.
And
This was just to show what the long-term future plans are of the campus, so that it felt like it shows that this is actually a truly planned out process.
so just to follow up to that, then, so, I mean, conceptually, you could sell 6 on its own and it would be part of the association, right?
correct. That's why it's shown the way it's shown with the dirt around it, that it doesn't, you don't see it, but it contains their own septic tank. It contains the access, their sidewalk is there, there's a perimeter around the building that, abuts the parking lot is there. It's much like building 4.
Yeah.
And the same would be said for that building 1, 2, and 3 with their front yard is septic. And that common area 1 in the middle of it all is where the transformers are. We have our own power there, and we meter all the buildings, which we'll continue to do with the association so that we can, fairly bill. The association will be Bristol. Yeah, the association will be responsible for keeping track of power utility usage.
So, and just to follow up, and this is just mostly for my own education. So it's not a 3 unit. I mean, do we designate units in a PUD, or is it just the whole thing is the PUD? But like Kevin, as you and your partners as the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The carved off Mountain Health building is 1 lot, and then everything else, the retained land is everything else. Certain buildings on those in the retained land share with subsets of others, the parking lots, and that's what the limited common areas are. They're limited because not every building enjoys their use, but they're still part of the retained land. There's only 2 lots at this point.
There's Bristol Works and there's Mountain Health. That's it. And Bristol
Right.
Works is everything that Mountain Health isn't.
Right, everything but this red.
Yeah,
And
and
at some point, go ahead, John.
not that it matters in the consideration here, but just again for my own education. So you would not have to come back for any kind of subsequent approval if you say sold building 6, like that can just be sold and it's just what it is, or would you have to like more formally separate that as an entity within the PUD?
You have to carve it off.
Yeah, so John, the way to look at this PUD is actually with any PUD, it's just a subdivision with the ability to relax your dimensional standards. So basically what Kevin's creating here is unit building 4 is a lot and everything else is a lot. If he sold unit building 6, he'd have to come in and subdivide off unit 6 from the remainder as well.
Okay, that's perfectly clear. Thank
Go
you.
through the same process that we're going through.
Exactly, it'd be just like what we're doing now.
Right. All right. That's what I thought. I do have one follow-up question also, if this is a good moment.
Go ahead.
So Kevin, this isn't any sort of requirement or anything, but I wonder in the process of formalizing this thing, if you wouldn't take the opportunity to go back through and look at some of your exterior lights with an eye towards bringing them into compliance if they're not. I remember when we first talked about this, or maybe it was the
one on Pine Street. Pine Street.
Yes.
Pine Street parking lot is the one that the power company put up, and I'm sure we could, but I think it's like the other lights around. Didn't the town replace them with LEDs?
I think so.
So I'm certainly happy to try to improve that for the neighborhood, John. And,
I would only say that this seems like an opportune moment to review that. I mean, with all due notice to the Stony Hill project, you guys really set the high bar on exterior lighting for that project. And I would just love to, I think you're very close to being just fine on this older project, but maybe there's 1 or 2 lights you could address. I don't know. I don't have a list. I haven't looked myself, but I'd be happy to do that with you for fun. If you want.
That's the trouble. That's the one. And again, I think I'm happy to work with the town and the electric company to make it better. I would ask that it not be part of this.
No, I don't. I'm not making such a motion or anything. I just it seems like an opportune moment. You're getting everything squared away here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Why wouldn't we make it a motion today? This is Josh.
Because it's part of an existing permit approval.
I thought as soon as we modify a PUD, then it gives this board the right to introduce new conditions.
Yeah.
I'm asking out of a technicality sense. Why are we dismissing that request?
Well, it wasn't made as a motion, but it can be, I think it's part of an existing permit approval. I don't remember what the permit was, but I remember the permit approval. So
I believe it was the conditional use I almost think it was for when, not Mount Health, what was it before Mount Health? Porter Practice.
Bristol Internal Medicine, Porter Hospital. Yeah.
Well, I think, the thing, if the focus of this PUD is that building 4 lot, and since there's this light in question isn't driven by this PUD at all, but it is part of an existing permit, and I imagine it's in compliance. If it's not in compliance, Kevin has to fix it anyway. But if it is in compliance, he's free to change it. But it's not being driven. It's not involved in any way with this PUD. That's my thinking.
Yeah, I would just think that, it's exciting to contemplate, excuse me, the existing development there being ordered in such a way that it can go forward. And you look at the lot on the corner of Maple and Pine, you look down at the 0.004 lot or 1.004 lot to the south. And I find that pretty exciting about sort of constructive infill there. And it just seems like an opportune moment to think, well, if that's going to be built out as homes or anything, really, that here's a chance to square everything. And like I said, I haven't noticed any particular problems except that one I've mentioned to you in months past. That's on that northern extent of the property. But anyway, I not planning on making a motion in that regard, but I know you're mindful of those things, and I just urge you to think about this as a moment to address any of those that might pop up.
Kevin, I would like to drill back down into that question again. Is it an existing PUD or not? This property with all five buildings, four buildings, three buildings.
Not an existing PUD. It's a conditional use approval from when the offices in mixed use went in. There's all multiple buildings on one lot that pre-exist zoning, so it's an existing conditional use approval.
And it's applying for a PUD today, or is that what we're considering?
This is the third hearing, and from my perspective, one who's put hours, I can't tell you how much time into planning this. This would have been nice to know that this was some sort of a condition or request or expectation
Well, it hasn't been.
from the DRB. So
Yeah, it isn't a current request. I'm trying to understand the process. If it were a new PUD, does this board have the purview to request that lighting meet the standards applicable?
Well, any light has to meet the standards applicable. So it couldn't be there are lighting standards in the ordinance. It doesn't depend on whether something's a PUD or not. So 609 lays out a whole bunch of considerations that are basically site plan type conditions or criteria. So open landscaping, roads, driveways, parking, water systems, sewage disposal, all those sorts of things are in play. So I think, yes, lighting's in play there too.
Okay, that's all I wanted to ask. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
So before we leave this, I would like to ask just a simple question about this, Kevin. Is this light any different from any other street light, that's around town?
and
that is a street, and that's a street light on the street.
I'm not sure that it had anything to do with Bristol Works, that light going in.
Okay.
I think it's a street light that when they were replacing the old ones with the newer, more efficient ones. But I can't say for sure. I don't know. I don't think I had anything to do with that light going on. I think it was a street light. It's my I honestly.
And we can look into it.
Well, I'm happy to look into it.
Pine Street's a street, there's all kinds of residences on it. It's got other street lights on it. How is this one any different from the others? That doesn't seem to be to me that it is. Okay. That's all.
All right. Any other questions for Kevin Harper?
Rob's got his hand up.
Thank you. Rob, go.
Well, my question is more procedural. Are we going to be approving the plan that's showing the basically 4 separate lots for the PUD, or are we going to be approving the differently configured plan dated November 2nd?
Well, that's go ahead. I had some ideas about that, just like making it clear.
This is the plan you're talking about here, Rob. Can you see the old one right now? So
yes, that's the one.
The biggest change that occurred was right here between just south of building 4, which on this one was listed as limited common, this little tiny rectangle was taken out of limited common and made common. Just so that we continue the connectivity and we can in the flow when I worked with Kevin, so that it doesn't break up the campus weird. So what I would, again, this much recommendation would be to approve it with the condition that this small southern southerly section of limited common is removed from the map.
And converted to common, not limited.
Right,
Like,
to
there
the
you go.
picture you see here. Does that make sense?
So-
No,
Well, the issue is that we don't have the final layout to review with, are all these commented and limited common elements going to be on that final plan, because they're not on the previous one. And I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes in, and it's not really fair to try to imagine what we're approving.
The limited common areas are on this map.
They're the same common areas. They're both limited common. Nothing's changed on the parking lots. I
Just
think
right here.
Chris is right. The only thing that's changed is that few feet. Chris, pull the other one, because I think the blue line across is added too. So we didn't feature the other change is that common area of the dirt around the campus. Flip back again, Chris, just to the other one. To show the-
I just spoke thing, I go all the way back up, my bad. Sorry.
So that 15, 20-foot blue perimeter polka dot blue, there you go. All the way around wasn't depicted on that last one. We've sort of decided to, again, for the sake of clarity, I mean, we could have just left all this off, you guys. This was not for approval. This is for a vision. This is to make us show you where we're going with it. All we're doing is separating unit 4.
I understand that. I was just saying we don't have a clear plan of what we are actually approving, because also the parking lot 3 is shown as limited common on this, and it's not on the other one, as well as a larger common element number 1 on this plan compared to the other one.
So I fully understand where Rob's going with this. If you look at the original plan, this is what you were looking to approve. Is that correct, Rob? And the problem is that this has more detail than the previous. If you approve this as it sits, you would also be, in theory, approving unit building 6, the limited common area parking 6, and that's what you're talking about, right, Rob? So what you would like to have approved for a final plat on to be recorded would be this plat of just the affected areas of this PUD. So there would be this with this correction made on it on this southern corner.
The common area, so the walkway.
We changed,
Plus the
And
blue.
and the blue common area around the outside perimeter. So it'd be basically, you took this map and you eliminated this red of unit buildings 1, 2, and 3, common area 1, limited common area parking 3, and building unit 6. That's what you're approving. Does that help?
I mean,
Yeah,
that helps. I would like to see what we were approving, though, instead of working off of trying to picture it and not actually being presented a plan that we are approving or not approving.
Well, we can, I think I understand what the final plat is gonna look like, and we can condition it through words, so that it's submitted in that way. Do you have are you unclear at some level, Rob, about what it's going to look like?
No, I'm clear, but the permit was warned as a 2-lot PUD, and this shows a 4-lot PUD, and now we're working off of approving this. So
Well, I was planning to deal with that, and I think by one of two ways. We could either just say that you've got it's helpful to see what the future scenarios might look like, but for what we're approving, to make the northwest corner and the south lot, clearly all one lot, so there's no confusion. That's easily done, along with the other common areas. So that it would go back to looking like this, what Chris has up now, with just the addition of the shading, what was the blue polka dots before. in the limited common area for the parking lot 3.
That's already on.
Is that there?
Where the
No,
parking lot
3.
3 goes away.
That goes away?
Yep, that has nothing to do with building 4. Building 4 has no access to building.
I know, but it's part of the PUD. It's still gonna be, right?
No, not on this one.
If what Rob's saying, then it wouldn't. And Rob, I need to say that I was asked by the board last time to put a little more detail in terms of where this thing was going, to render it, to visualize more fully the full hoped for outcome of the PUD. And that was a specific request by the board. I didn't do this to confuse anyone. That was the direction I took. So
Okay, so.
I just don't want to have to have another meeting when we're looking at it. And I think Kevin, if you can just describe it, and I can turn around and clean it up tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I think that works. Are you okay with that, Rob?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I just was trying to make a point that we're being presented a plan that we're not approving, and I think it muddied the thing. Having some more conceptual development and presenting us maybe a final build out sketch that's not being presented as in the same manner of the plan that we would be approving would be a different story. It'd be helpful. So I think it just caused a little confusion, only presented it with one as the final for tonight.
Yep. So no good deed goes unpunished.
And I also noted on my end, just to keep that in mind in the future. So when working with the applicant, to make sure that it does jive with what you're looking at. So I've noted that. I looked at the new one he presented. I was like, oh, that all makes sense. Now, the points you brought up actually do add to confusion. I fully understand that. So,
John, you had your hand up.
I don't know if this is proper form or not, and stop me if it's not, but is it possible to make a motion that approves this unit building for PUD, or this PUD splitting off this unit building 4 and the common elements, subject to the zoning administrator approving a map?
Well, my approach on this, John, was similar to that, but it would be a motion, and a condition of that motion would be to submit a 2-lot final PUD with all the existing lot, the retained lot as it is, with the common areas shown, and so it's a condition to give to the board and to the town the actual final version that we've talked about. So it wouldn't, and Kevin would submit it to Chris and he could check it, but that's what I was thinking about in terms of a motion with a condition.
yeah, because at the end of the day, the final plat would have to meet your whatever your ruling is, and the chair of the DRB, actually, who is Kevin, has to sign off on that plat that it does accurately match what you all decide. So there are some checks and balances there for you on that.
That's a good point.
Would Rob, would it satisfy you to go in that direction?
But that's fine with me. It was more of a issue with the guidance and how we were moving forward with what we had in front of us and handling that. So I'm good moving forward.
Yeah, we don't want to approve a drawing that isn't actually, that reflects future developments or future changes, and we don't want any confusion there. So I was planning to address that, but there are various ways to do it, but now we've hacked that out, so I think we're good.
How do you think we could formulate a motion in that direction?
I'd move to, well, is there any more questions for Kevin? I'll make the motion, but I don't want to do so prematurely. Any questions? I can't see everybody. Can't see Josh.
We have Brenda here now too. It wasn't here before.
Ooh,
Brenda Tilburg jumped on as well.
okay. All right. So,
Brenda, do you have any questions?
Brenda,
Nope, she's good.
okay,
She's not-
all right. So I'll move that we approve the two-lot subdivision, which creates building 4 as a standalone lot with limited common areas and common areas, and that the PUD approval will be conditioned on the submission of a plat that shows the retained land in its current entirety and the building 4 lot with a boundary, and all common areas and limited common areas depicted.
That's good. Somebody just could write that fast.
Peggy got it. Did you get it, Peggy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Well,
can you repeat that
Yeah.
verbatim?
I've got it, as long as you're, when I write it up, I've got it in mind, so.
Yeah, when the minutes come through. Rob, did you have your hand up?
Second.
Any debate one way or the other? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Aye. Aye, Brenda's a yes. Josh, Rob. So,
And John.
and John, okay, so,
And Ted.
and Ted. So unanimous there, Peggy.
Got it.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So on to part 2. Where's my warning?
I don't know, but here's another one, just so you have one.
It's here someplace.
I know, but I got another one right there for you.
All right. Permit number 21409, Bristol Works LLC at 62 Pine, parcel 205151, requesting preliminary approval for a 2-lot subdivision per the Unified Development Regulations, Article 9, Section 930. So this is the proposal to carve off, there's lot 2.
And I gotta share it with the world. Sorry, going as fast as I can. There.
And this is, we declared this a major we had the sketch plan review previously. This is a major because it's a mixed use commercial. It's got commercial usage on the retained land. So it's a 2-step approval. This is the preliminary approval. So we don't take any action tonight, but this is an opportunity to ask questions and provide feedback if there's something not depicted or lacking in the preliminary subdivision plat. This is our chance to talk about it. Does anybody, you want to just briefly summarize the
Sure.
plan again?
So, again, this lot is actually a high density residential lot, which is different from the rest of the campus, which was a mixed use. But which gives it the opportunity for 4 houses per acre. Chris, is that right?
That is correct.
So this is a little more than 1/4 of an acre, so it couldn't take more than 1 house anyway. There was no reason to leave it in the PUD because it could be very happy next to Kelly Laliberty's, and looks like the old living well just sold.
That is correct.
So it almost screams for, a modest home on it. And there are interested parties that want to build a little retirement home, local families. So the request is to subdivide it from the PUD and make it a building lot that we can sell for a single family retirement cottage of something on the small side. And it would have no relation, even if it would have no relationship to the association were it left in the PUD, and it just seemed easier just to take it out altogether. And it doesn't interrupt the contiguousness of the Bristol
What's it?
Works campus, because the property line is in line with the backyard there of Oliver.
Yeah, so it's a waiver.
So the fence line there. So it looked really clean, and there's, again, that flow is still allowed. The future owners have said lot don't have to play nice with Bristol Works coming and going. So they've got their own lot and their own 4 lines, and so it seemed unnecessary and not particularly useful to include it in the PUD.
But remember, from the sketch plan review meeting, we've got, the HDR requires 75 feet of road frontage. We've got 73. So this is one where the applicant is requesting a waiver of the dimensional requirement for road frontage, which we have the authority to grant as part of the subdivision when at the second hearing. I'm just alerting everyone that this one has a limited waiver tied to it.
So is it 73.7?
7. Yeah, you're a foot and
A foot and
a quarter.
And the other lots down the road, that one next to it, the Maples Community Care Home lot there, that's 73.6.
Yep.
And the one next to it, 74.1. So
Yeah.
it's pretty standard fare in that neck of the woods.
Yep.
And they get narrower when you get further down.
Do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they do, yeah.
there's a lot of lots in the
Yeah.
village that are non-conforming lots.
Mhm.
So this one would be ever so slightly, but it's plenty big enough. At 2.289 acres, the minimum lot size is 10,000 square feet. So it's above that. It's not too small a lot, just has a hair shy of the road frontage. Any questions for Kevin?
How many buyers do you have lined up already?
Well,
It's a hungry market out there.
I haven't posted it. It's not for sale, but there's serious interest from 2 families, 2 couples.
Bidding war.
Huh? No, it's whoever got there first, and so there is a first position.
Any other questions? Anything that isn't depicted that you would want to see? It's going to be town water and town sewer, or on-site septic. On-site septic, but town water.
Right. And town power, the poles right there on
Yeah.
the street. Yeah.
Will you want to see the septic design on your drawing? If we need it, I'd want to know. It'd be nice to let the applicant know now.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean,
Well, but again, that adds, well, we did survey with an engineer,
You're gonna have to do your wastewater permit anyway, so this is gonna have to be.
but it would be the new owner's permit. I don't know what they're gonna build. I don't know if it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, 3-bedroom.
Yeah.
I would have to oversize it, so I wasn't telling people why they couldn't build what they, So I think it'd be,
That's fine.
that's
That's right, because you're actually not developing.
not
it.
developing it. I'm selling a lot.
Right.
and they will have to get wastewater approval.
And then for what it's worth, the engineer was most impressed.
It's an all-time perk, right?
With the gravel, the
Yeah.
soil conditions. We dug 3 different test pits and went in 7-8 feet and measured and calculated and all that good stuff. So it's a step away from being done, but it is not, it's not designed.
But we know it'll be an in-ground system because the site perks wonderful.
Well, I would move that we approve this. Is it a subdivision? Is that the right?
We don't do that tonight, John. We have to have 2. We have to have 2.
One more.
Yeah. So tonight was.
So this is just another preliminary?
In a way, yeah, it is the preliminary, right?
It's the preliminary.
Yeah,
We've talked
this is
about
the
this
official-
before, though.
That was a sketch plan review before.
That was sketch plan. Okay, thank you.
So the sketch plan is not a warned hearing. The sketch plan is just a informal conversation with the board. The board at that point determines if it's a major or minor. And then tonight is the first officially warned hearing. And then the final will also be warned as well.
Thank you.
Kevin, you need to sign him in for this.
Oh, swear him in?
Yeah.
Do you solemnly swear that the evidence you have given before this zoning board of adjustment development review board is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I have.
Thank you.
I have done.
You're late,
I will
Ted.
have said, yes.
Better
That's
late,
it. That's
better
an
late
ex-
than not.
Yeah,
That's
no,
right.
no.
It's an ex post facto swearing.
Retroactive.
Absolutely.
So is there anything that can happen? So between this and the next, am I to do anything?
You're gonna come in with the proposed final plat,
Which is really.
How
which
different.
is, it's not.
So it would be just that
Yeah.
period? No other, what do you want on the
Well,
plan?
since it's not developed, it's not being developed yet. And I don't think we need to see a building envelope.
Isn't that it?
Well,
right
no,
there?
those are just setbacks. So yeah, I
No,
guess it
mean,
is.
it has the length and the width to the inch.
Yeah.
All the way around for all four
Well,
sides.
yeah.
So quite often you'll see like that, and then they'll do like an actual building on where they're gonna drop the house. But since you're not dropping the house, you don't want
Selling a lot. I'm not building a house.
Yep, no, we've got the setbacks there, so that's good. And I don't see anything that it's lacking unless anybody else does.
No, it might be worth noting for the record that I, for one, don't have a problem with the 1.25 foot shy width. It seems like that goes up and down the street. So.
Yep.
So
And-
when we meet again,
Yeah.
what is there to do? I'm not saying we're not going to, I just wonder
No, I
what's the
know.
process?
The process is we have another hearing. If anybody wants to ask questions or anybody from the public wants to ask questions, they can.
Yeah.
But at that final hearing, we'll take up the matter, at
Okay,
that next hearing, we'll take up the matter of approving it
okay,
by motion, which we
Okay.
can't do tonight.
okay.
And one of the things in that motion will be that we'll specifically grant a waiver
Because of
on
the
the front, on
width,
the
road frontage.
road frontage.
Okay, fair enough, thank you.
All right. So do we have thank you. Do we have minutes? No, we
I don't have anything this evening.
Thank you, sir.
We don't have minutes.
Because I was trying to sort out the added, I was out for most of December, so I'm really behind on a lot of this, as you know.
All right. All right. So
This is it.
this is it. Motion to adjourn.
I do have an item I'd like to talk about just briefly. And that has to do with the master planning of a PUD as presented today. Not specific to the applicant, but just in terms of process. I think it's extremely useful to have that master plan for this group, but to reaffirm Rob's point, I think that, the phase that's being applied to specific, and I think we kind of backed into it with the verbiage, should be presented as current, a current proposal. So
Yeah.
I
And we
think both are needed, and not mutually exclusive of each other. So
And we have one on the north side of Pine Street there that we've talked about already a little bit, kind of in behind Fuller's, and
Yep.
that I'm not sure I don't remember where that is procedurally.
That was sketch only, so.
I know.
But they're on hold. I haven't heard anything back from the Thomases yet.
Yeah. No, I think that it's a good point. So even if there are helpful drawings to show what the future options or intentions are, it's important to have before us what we're actually approving at the moment. That's what you're saying, right, Josh?
yeah, and Chris, I guess this is ammo for you when you talk to the applicant. And I think they should just make it clear on that vision board or master plan that that's not being entered in for record, so they don't get tied to a pipe dream. That the only element for record is going to be that phased application or that portion of the application.
Yeah, we'll have, the document we approve should actually be before us. And the other possibilities down the road are helpful to have as a overall
Vision.
view. But what we'd be approving should be before us. Here maybe you've had some miscommunication, who knows, it's fine. We're all on the same page, I think, and Kevin understands what he needs to submit in order to have the PUD. So I don't, so Chris will be clear with that with folks going forward. And I kind of think it's actually rare in my experience that we have the kind of future options or long-term thinking actually put before us so we can see it. I mean, it was helpful. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Well, other than the Thomas one, the
Yeah.
previous PUD where they showed you what they want to do, the 3 now,
Yeah.
and then future could be a single family home for themselves, or could be 3 more units.
Yeah.
So going forward, it's a nice touch.
Yeah, it's helpful to see the possible big picture, but it is really important to actually have the document that we're going to approve
Absolutely.
before us. Okay.
That's it. I just wanted to reaffirm that, so.
No, that's a good point. Good night, everybody.
Not even
Good night.
8 o'clock yet. Wait a minute.
No, I'm sorry, but I might get to, my dinner might still be warm.
Kevin, do you want to make a motion to adjourn or are we not doing that tonight?
Motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
Have a good night, all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Night.